Do you have a hero in your life? Someone you know who's done something extraordinary for you, your family, or for others? There's a place here in Michigan that tells the stories of heroes who during their lives have done some unusual and extraordinary things for our country. A group of people have created a museum that remembers and tells the stories of the men and women from Michigan who left their families to either serve in the military during America's foreign wars or were part of our country's spaceflight programs. The Michigan Heroes Museum. It keeps the memory of their stories alive so they can be shared with everybody. The museum's mission is simply to honor, respect, and remember the personal contributions Michigan citizens have made to our nation's military and space programs. It's located in Frankenmuth, Michigan. It's the Michigan Heroes Museum, and it holds nearly 1,000 individual exhibits, each devoted to a Michigan soldier, Marine, sailor, airman, or astronaut. It contains a very special gallery dedicated to telling the stories of Medal of Honor recipients from Michigan. And here you're going to see more Medals of Honor than in any other museum or institution in the United States.
My name is John Ryder, and I'm the director here at the museum. Today we're going to focus on 3 amazing stories that you can find here at the Michigan Heroes Museum. Harold Furlong, a World War I Medal of Honor recipient. Christina Hammock-Cook, our first female astronaut from the great state of Michigan. And finally, Dwayne Hackney, a Vietnam veteran and the United States Air Force most highly decorated enlisted airman. These heroes' stories are both amazing and inspiring, and with a little hard work, you can follow in their footsteps and be a hero too.
Colonel Haroldfurlong MD, born in August 1895 in Detroit, Michigan. In 1917, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant and sent to Kansas, where he was assigned to Company M, 353rd Infantry Regiment. The 353rd became part of the 89th Infantry Division and was sent to France during World War I. Harold had been promoted to first lieutenant before his company went into battle in late October of 1918.
What he did in battle was absolutely amazing. His captain fell during battle and he assumed command. He assigned one of his grenadiers to take his satchel or grenades and crawl up towards the enemy trench as close as possible and try to silence the enemy machine guns. He didn't score a direct hit on those machine guns, but it did cause the guys that were manning those to jump down in the trench. And Harold, at that moment, stood up and ran over 100 yards, over a football field away, and he got in behind the trench and he slid down. Then the Germans crawled back up into their machine gun nests, and they were firing at his men. They didn't notice him behind them. They thought all the Americans were in front of them. And Harold stood up and walked towards the edge of the trench, the backside of the trench. He eliminated those machine gun positions and he saved all of his men.
His actions caused 20 Germans to surrender to the American forces. For his courage and coolness under fire, Harold Furlong was awarded the Medal of Honor, our nation's highest military award for valor. He returned home after the war and joined the Michigan National Guard. Harold again served in World War II as a medical officer, both here in the United States and in Europe. During his medical career, Harold delivered over 1,000 babies in the Pontiac area alone. Harold never forgot the cost of war. In an interview in 1959, Furlong downplayed his World War I service. Personally, he said, "I'm just happy to be a doctor and would just as soon not be written up in the newspaper as a war hero."
After World War I, he ended up becoming a doctor, not just any doctor. He became an OB/GYN and delivered babies for a living. And when he donated his things to the museum, he said, "I want to make sure you tell my story. And when you tell my story, I want to make sure you let people know that I want to be remembered for bringing life into the world and not taking it out."
Astronaut Christina Hammock-Cook, Michigan's first female astronaut, who was born in Grand Rapids. She grew up in Jacksonville, North Carolina, but she's never lost touch with her West Michigan roots.
Hi, my name is Christina Cook, and I'm a NASA astronaut who was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. My family in Michigan are both farmers and factory workers, and they taught me the value of hard work, something that's been important to me my whole life and is still important every single day.
From an early age, Christina dreamed of becoming an astronaut. She attended the U.S. Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama as a teenager. After earning bachelor's and master's degrees in the fields of electrical engineering and physics, Christina worked for NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the United States Antarctic Program, and Johns Hopkins University. During this period, she designed scientific experiments for space probes, and she worked in very cold and remote locations of Alaska and Greenland. She even performed scientific research while spending a year in Antarctica. In 2013, Christina became one of 8 astronaut candidates selected from a group of over 6,100 applicants.
Christina sets a great example for how hard work and determination can really pay off. When she was on her first mission, Christina, along with another female astronaut, went out and took the very first all-woman spacewalk. It was the first time for 2 women, and there's no reason why it can't happen again and again and again.
More recently, Christina served as flight engineer on the International Space Station during expeditions 59, 60, and 61. And while on board, she took part in more than 210 science investigations, including studying how the human body reacts to long-duration spaceflight, as well as plant growth and potential cancer treatments. On top of that, her 320 days in space is the longest single spaceflight by a woman and the second longest single spaceflight by an American. During the single space voyage, Christina orbited Earth 5,248 times. She traveled, listen to this, 139 million miles and spent 42 hours and 15 minutes outside the space station on spacewalks. Christina Cook, not only an astronaut for a very short time, but she's already done so much in her first space mission.
I think it's amazing. The things that she had done, the experiences that she's had, and for that all to start as a dream when she was a young girl, and then be able to wake up one day on the International Space Station and know that you've arrived and you're doing important work for all of mankind. That's just, how do you beat that?
We're very excited to see what she does next. Will she return to the International Space Station? Will she be one of the first Americans to walk on the moon since 1972? Whatever she does next, we know she's going to represent Michigan well and do an excellent job. Chief Master Sergeant Dwayne Hackney, born in Flint, Michigan on June 5, 1947. Hackney called himself a conscientious objector to the war going on in Vietnam. Now, a conscientious objector referred to someone who didn't believe in the taking of human lives for any reason. Instead of running away, though, what he felt was his patriotic duty to serve. So Dwayne decided he was willing to serve in the U.S. military as a healer.
So when most people think of military heroes, they are going to think about war heroes that were shooting down planes or capturing enemy territories or taking a stronghold or something like that. Dwayne wasn't that type of hero. He was focused on saving people's lives, and what more could you do?
He entered the U.S. Air Force immediately after graduating from high school in June 1965, and he went to basic training. After that, he completed training as a scuba diver, parachutist, mountain climber, jungle survivalist, and a medical technician, all to prepare him for duty as a para-rescue specialist.
Dwayne was focused on saving people's lives by getting lowered into the jungle himself at great risk to himself. He would go down into the jungle. He wouldn't even be able to see the ground. The canopy, the trees were so thick there. And then, while he may be under fire, he is still performing first aid, helping that pilot out of the plane crash perhaps, and doing whatever it took to get him back up and into that helicopter and save his life.
On September 27, 1966, Hackney was assigned to an aerospace rescue and recovery squadron in the Republic of Vietnam. He flew more than 200 rescue missions and was responsible for the recovery of more than 40 American aviators. During a mission on February 6, 1967, Hackney was involved in an action that later earned him the Air Force Cross. Sergeant Hackney was the youngest and first living enlisted recipient of the prestigious award. In 1967, he received the coveted Cheney Award for pararescue personnel, and in 1968, Dwayne was selected as Airman of the Year for the Military Airlift Command. That award is presented to a member of the U.S. Air Force annually for an act of valor, for extreme fortitude or self-sacrifice in a humanitarian interest and performed in connection with aircraft. Sergeant Dwayne D. Hackney, the most decorated airman of the Vietnam War or any war. Chief Master Sergeant Hackney said it best when he declared, "I had the best job in Vietnam, saving lives." Hard to believe it, but it's true. The Michigan Heroes Museum would like to thank you for taking your time to learn about just a few of the heroes that we honor, respect, and remember at our museum every day. We invite you and your family to visit the next time you're in Frankenmuth so that you can learn more of the stories of our American heroes from right here in Michigan. This video is dedicated to all those who sacrificed to preserve liberty and was made possible by a generous donation from the Gleaners Bavarian Arbor.